Hello, 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 everyone. I am so happy to be here with you again. Welcome to the Create the Life You Love podcast on Chapters Network. I am your host, Georgia Woodbine, and I am super, super excited today. I'm excited because this podcast was created to help entrepreneurs and business owners, and it's here to provide information and strategies and techniques to grow your business. And I'm so happy you decided to share this time with us. Like I said, the purpose of this podcast is to share knowledge, is to support, is to empower, and to give you tools that's going to help you move forward and live in your highest potential to create the life you love, because that's the name of the show, right? Create the life you love. So it's all about that. Now, I want you guys to remember to subscribe, to share, to like this podcast, and to go to my website, www.georgiawoodbine.com. This is actually streaming live from my YouTube page, Georgia Woodbine. It's also streaming live on the Chapters Network on Facebook. So I hope you guys join in. If you have questions, if you have comments, we would love to hear from you. I would like to take this time to introduce our guest. Her name is Lady J. She's an award-winning community leader, a speaker, rising multimedia mogul, and she's an author and a mentor and serial entrepreneur. She is the founder of Ego Entertainment New York and Life Support Company LLC, Bounce Backology. She got to explain to us what that is, and No Limits Ministry Inc. Over the past 12 years, she has dedicated her life to serving, mentoring, and empowering others personally and professionally. She has also been featured on numerous media platforms, including WTHR, Channel 13, Radio Next, 102.3 FM, and so many more in Women's Magazine. Let's give a warm welcome to our guest, Lady J. Hey. We can't hear you, Lady J. I think you're on mute. Hello. Hi.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. It's been quite a while since we've been on this together.
I know so much has happened, since the last time we talked, but I thought of you because I know you have such a great story to share. And like I said, the show is about really sharing information with other people that are going through transition in their life. There's a lot of people thinking about what to do next. And so I think that people that have been through that, it's our responsibility to share the information with others. Now, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and the type of work that you do and why you do what you do?
Ooh. Okay. So, well, as everyone heard, I am all of those things. But I like to tell people that before I'm any of those things, I'm a servant first. I love to serve others. I love to help others. It's just who God created me to be. And sometimes that gets me into trouble because, sometimes I'll say, overextend
yourself.
Yes. And hold on to things and people longer than you should. But just because I love to see people do better, I love to see them win, because coming up, I was someone who didn't have that. So I wanted to be that for other people. And it's just, I found out that is part of who I am and part of my purpose and who God has created me to be. So with mentoring youth and families to speaking, sharing my testimony, my story, and it is ever evolving, as transparently as I can to help others and share life lessons and tools to help them along the way, along with using my multimedia platform through Ego Entertainment Network to spread that message out even greater and providing a platform for others to be able to do the same and share their gifts and talents with the world and have access to resources and opportunities that a lot of people probably wouldn't be afforded, or it, would take them forever to get there or have to go through a lot of red tape. So everything that I do, whether it's ministry, whether it's just life personally or in business, it has to help people and serve others in some shape, form, or fashion.
Oh, wow. Well, why don't you share a little bit about your backstory and how you came to where you are now, like what happened and what inspired you and what motivated you to actually start, your multimedia company and doing all the things that you do, mentoring, empowering people. Tell us a little bit about what happened on your journey.
So I heard you talk about bounce backology. So you were like, she has to tell us what that is. So I've been dubbed the queen of bounce back, the bounce back queen. And that is because I have consistently bounced back from unbelievable.
Okay. So are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, there we are. Technology, boy, I tell you.
So I have continuously bounced back from things consistently and continuously. And I really shouldn't be here in the physical sense, and I really shouldn't be here altogether in the mental sense. So from molestation to rape to kidnapping to drug addiction to sex addiction to abandonment to being motherless, fatherless, homeless, you name it, I've been there, I've experienced it, I've done it, and it has afforded me the opportunity to become someone that is bold enough to be as transparent in detail as I am. And how those things that happened to me altered my mindset and made me look at myself in a way where I felt like I wasn't good enough, wasn't worthy, and wasn't capable, and how that transcended into my decisions in life and my behaviors, and how that transcended into business and career choices and being a mother of 4 children, and into my relationships and things of that sort. And so it's been a journey of learning and healing and learning how to live and not coexist, because I'm a firm believer that I am an example, actually a living, breathing example, that there's more to life than just coexisting with whatever it is that you're dealing with, and the end result being just to cope, versus actually being completely healed and liberated from it, and then being free enough to actually share that without shame, understanding that everything that I went through was necessary. And so in doing that and sharing my story through book form, kind of spread like wildfire. I had a lot of radio shows and television hosts reaching out to me, wanting me to share my story, come on and talk about it. And then that turned into me having my own radio show. And then that turned into me, someone saying, hey, you should have your own platform. I love what you're doing with the interactive sessions and things and how you help people. And then that turned into now a whole multimedia network company. So that's how that part came about. And it's also how the mentoring with the youth and adults and families happen. And it's always been my goal to help people. So whether I'm feeding the homeless through the No Limits Ministry Incorporated, or taking people into my home over the years, even families, whole families, because like I said, I wanted to be for people what I didn't have. So that is how all of that transpired, and the journey that God has had me on. So, and it's been a wild ride, but I wouldn't change anything about it.
Wow, that's amazing. I've learned that once you let go your greatest fears, you overcome them. Once you let go of the fear of how other people see you, and the fear of pain, and the fear of change, and the fear of what? The biggest one, the unknown, right? People have to understand that your thoughts cannot be incapable with what you're trying to create. So you can't expect positive things to happen in your life when you're speaking negatively and you're vibrating on a negative level. Why don't you share, like, what was your biggest fear when you started your business? Because people really need to hear, like, what the fears were and how you overcame those fears.
So my biggest fear was not knowing if the people would come. So we hear the saying, if you build it, they will come. And when this all started, God had me sit down and write my story in 2010.
Mhm.
And little did I know it was going to be very therapeutic for me.
Mhm.
And some of the things that I had never uttered in public or to anyone, he had me put in that book in explicit detail. And
Mhm.
so, and I wrote 2 books in 2 weeks.
Mhm.
That's how it just flowed out of me. And then he was like, now I want you to release it. And I was like, oh no, I'm not doing that. It took me 5 years to release it. I did not release it, the first part of my life series till 2015.
Wow. Wow.
So I was like, okay, but who's gonna listen?
Mhm.
I'm used to singing, so I grew up in the industry, and
Mhm.
mother's a professional singer, and I'm so used to that. But I was like, now you want me to speak? What?
Like, take me out of my comfort zone. Why don't you?
Like, I was like, you want me to tell what? Like, why? And but the way that he was giving it to me, and how he allowed me to see where he was in every situation, even though I couldn't see him or trace him while I was there, I was able to go back. And it's kind of like how your life flashes before your eyes, and there's like a movie reel. And then I was able to go back and see, oh my God, that was him keeping me. That was him covering me. That was him, pushing me. That was him providing a way, And one of the biggest, I'll say, challenges that I had in doing that was trusting
Mhm.
him. And I knew that I was going to be ridiculed for it, because we know that whenever there are things or trauma
Mhm.
or hardships that people don't want others to know about, you want to sweep everything under the rug. What goes on in this house stays in this house. When that is exposed, people don't like that, because then they're exposed,
Exactly.
to an extent.
Mhm.
But God had me tell the story in a way where I could help other people and be that living, breathing example that it's possible. And that even with everything that I endured, and with all the mistakes that I made, that he was still able to use me in ministry and in business
Mhm.
and in my personal life to be the mother, the leader, the servant, and things that I am. Now, I'm by far not perfect. Okay. Not at all. I'm very flawed.
Mhm.
but
We
but
every day we get better,
yes,
right? Every day we get better. I
yes,
think that we all are guilty of creating that invisible lid, right? That lid
yes,
that we can't see past our challenges, we can't see past our setbacks, we can't see the next step. So we put this lid up of I can't do this, I can't be this, I can't have that. That's all self-imposed beliefs. And
right,
like you were saying, you had to get past that fear of being in a not in your comfort zone of singing and stepping into new territory and allowing yourself to make mistakes and allowing yourself not to be perfect and allowing yourself to do what you do. There's a quote that I love, and I'd like to put your website up too so people could, while we're talking, they can go to your website, which is ladyj.co. But there's a quote that I love by Henry Ford. It says, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. Right. So it's always about what we believe about ourselves, and also all the misconceptions and the thoughts that we were fed as children on what is happiness, what will make you happy, what will make you feel fulfilled and like nothing is missing. Why don't
right.
you elaborate on that a little bit for us, Lady J?
The things that will make me fulfill.
Right. I'm saying that we've been taught as children, like a
Mhm,
lot of the things that the fears that we have are self-imposed thoughts that come
right.
from childhood or
Mhm,
come from being around a person that has been saying to us all our life, you know what? You better keep this job. You better not try to start a business. You need to have your, medical coverage. But just like things people tell you, you need to have a child by a certain age. You need to be married by a certain age. Just society, the pressures that they put on people as individuals. Why don't you share like your perspective on how, I think that we need to untrain our thought process and retrain the way we look at things and the way we do things, because we've been taught all of these years that this is the way, and that does not have to be the way.
Right. So what I did was I had to, and this is what I tell those that I'm mentoring, that I talk to when I'm speaking, is that I had to get to a place of understanding that most people's trauma is tied to a person and an experience with that individual. And 9 times out of 10, it's with someone that is extremely close to them. Most of the time it's a parent or grandparent or somebody who is like a parent and things of that sort. And one thing that I had to understand and realize was that our parents, one, had a life before we entered into this earth. They've experienced some things before we did, and based upon what they've experienced and how they responded, determined then what they thought about themselves, the decisions that they made, and things of that sort. And that has absolutely nothing to do with us. 2, who I am and what my purpose is also has nothing to do with them. They do not give me that. They did not plant that inside of me. It was already in me when they brought me into this world. They were nothing but a vessel, but to get me here. Yep. Now, whether or not they, fulfill their assignment in raising me, or loving me, caring for me, and things of that sort is irrelevant, in the sense that God already knew that that was going to happen before it happened, and he already assigned someone else for other people to fulfill those roles. But it's up to me to recognize that as his grace being sufficient and take advantage of that. So, and that's what I tell people. So understanding that nobody should have that much power, where who you are, what you think about yourself, and what you're able to accomplish fully rests in their hands, and in what they say and in what they pour into you. And so then you have to go through the process of forgiveness so that you can detach yourself, and then go through the next process of surgery, which is extracting those things, and then start to implant new things into yourself, and surrounding yourself with those who are also going to impart positive affirmations and things that align with who God says you are and what you're capable of, so that then you'll start to believe those things and then act accordingly, because whatsoever you believe in your mind, is your actions will follow that.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. I know that I think the greatest gift in life is the gift of choice. Like, we get to decide what we want to believe. We get to decide where we want to spend our time, who we want to spend our time with. And I think life starts to make sense when you begin to realize that everything that happens in your life is a lesson. It's a lesson to help you learn, to help you grow, to help you develop, to help you evolve, to really live in your highest potential, and to create the life that God has put in you, which is your purpose, for you to be able to live that out. Now, I think there's a lot of people in this world that die not knowing their purpose, which is sad, but a lot of people do. You ask people, what do they want? And they're stunted. They don't know what to say. Everybody says money, but it's really not money. It's the joy that you think, the things that you can do with money that make you feel free, right? So I think there's a disconnect with what people think real, true happiness is. Now, can you share with us 3 actionable tips that actually helps to keep you grounded personally, professionally, spiritually? Can you share some tips that has helped you to have balance in your life with our audience?
Yeah. So one, I would say, never get to a point where you feel that you have outgrown your gift or talent, because that is the thing that makes room for you. Okay. And how do you do that? You serve first and lead second. So you're serving first and lead second. Remain resilient. Don't be afraid to fail forward so that you can continue to move upward. And you may have to come back to the table, a few times to tweak some things in order for things to work. So I would say, and you do that as often as you need to. Exactly. So, nobody gets it right 100% the very first time. Nobody.
Nobody.
You definitely, if anybody told you that they did, it's a lie.
They're lying.
So exactly, it's going to take you a while to get a solid system down packed in how you think, move, and then deliver.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You know, I believe that once you learn how to liberate yourself from comparisons, I think that's what holds a lot of people back. You
Mhm.
know, you see people on Instagram, you're like, well, why does this person have that and I don't? You know, we have to stop comparing ourselves to each other and understand that your journey is going to be different from someone else's journey. And being authentic is
Right.
really about, you know, your core values, you know, your flaws, your challenges, your obstacles, your setbacks. You know, one of the things I always share is that your success will come when you learn how to solve a problem for yourself. And then once you learn how to solve that problem, you now share it with other people. And that's really where true success comes from, which is serving and then leading. So it's also about being transparent, like you said, and not being ashamed to share your truth, your failures, your success, your pain, your happiness. You know, purpose is really a place where all of this exists, you know, and when you're
Yes.
focused on serving others while using your gifts and talents, you won't ever have to chase money, ever, ever in your life.
Absolutely.
It will
Absolutely.
chase
Chase
you.
purpose and let the money chase you.
That's it. That's it. And I think that, you know, once we start letting go of like you were saying, past experiences, you know, expectations, preconceived notions of what is happiness, you know, I think once we
Yeah.
learn to let those things go, we'll be in a better place. Now, why don't you share with us how you have created the life you love? Because that's the name of the podcast, and everyone shares like how they created the life they love. So why don't you tell us how you have?
So I center everything I do around how I can be of service or help someone else
Mhm,
so that my joy is always replenished because I get joy out of that.
mhm,
I also make it a habit to bless others and give freely, love unconditionally, lead by example, and behave with integrity.
mhm.
So, and then I share my life lessons um, transparently to help others as well. So that's how I have created the life that I love. Because when all of those things are in place, then God continues to elevate me. He continues to open doors and put me in rooms before I even enter, and also allow my favor then to be tied to others so that they too can continue to move forward and upward.
Wonderful, wonderful. Can you share with our viewers more about like, you know, where they can find you online, you know, your information?
And so it's so many pages because each company, of course, has their own pages. So I'll just say, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on my personal page. I'm maxed out at friends. So my personal page is Jaqueline Tay. That's JACQUIELYNNTE. You can follow me there. You can also connect and follow me on my public figure page at Lady J Brand. Both of those are on Facebook. You can follow me on Instagram at ladyj.co, and I'm on LinkedIn at Lady J. I rarely use Twitter. And you can go to my website at ladyj.co, and there you'll gain access to all of the different companies. There's buttons that will take you directly to those websites, and you can also connect with us on those social media sites as well from those websites.
Awesome, awesome. And they can get to your magazine on that website too, right?
Yes. So egoentertainmentnet.com. That's egoentertainmentnet.com. So if you go to ladyj.co and you go under like brands and you see Ego Entertainment, you just click on it and it'll take you directly to the website. You have to subscribe in order to view it.
Okay.
Viewing the Ego News, though, is you don't need to subscribe for that. But yes.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Now, I know we have a few minutes left, and I always like to close with my signature question. And that is, if you were to look in the mirror, what would you tell your younger self? Are you there, Lady J?
I lost you for a second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
So,
lost you for a second. You froze.
oh, okay, because I saw it like froze for a minute. I'm like, did she hear me? Okay. So I was saying I like to close with my signature question. If you were to look into the mirror and see your younger self, what would you tell her?
I would tell her that you were always worth it, and God's purpose for your life, business, and ministry was, is, and will always be indestructible.
Wow, powerful, powerful. I love that. Um, if you could be remembered, what is that one thing you would like to be remembered for?
Man, I guess they all tie together. Again, that I gave selflessly, loved unconditionally. I led by example. I bounced back relentlessly. I taught others how to do the same, and I was very transparent in sharing my testimony and being that example that anything is possible, no matter what the circumstances are, no matter what your background is.
That's so true. I think that once we take an inventory of our spiritual assets, your spiritual assets, what are those? So that's your inner self, that's your spiritual world. It's what we don't see. Your outer self is the physical world, what you do see. And your spiritual assets are greater than your material assets, whether you want to believe it or not, it is. And your spiritual
Yes.
assets allows you to tap into a part of yourself that really enables you to do good for yourself and to do others, like Lady J was talking about earlier. And it taps into your creative passion and your feelings for purpose and fulfillment. I mean, when people say, what is it that I want? I think if people understood the power of operating in your passion, you would never feel empty, because that gives you a natural high. When you are operating in that place of what you were created to do, they always say, what is your gift? What is your talent? What is your natural ability? It's that thing that comes easy to you that someone else can't do easily. That's how you know it's your gift. That's how you know that's something that you
Absolutely.
were given that
Absolutely.
nobody else has. That's what you have to focus on. What is your gift? What is your talent? What is your
Mm-hmm.
natural ability? And you know, we always have the freedom to be mindfully aware of our choices, our desires, and our experiences. That's why I say it's all about creating the life you
Yeah.
love. What does that mean to you? Creating the life you love is not always about money. It's about peace. It's about joy. It's about love. It's about getting up in the morning and being thankful for the things that you have, and looking at your glass more full than empty. It's about your perception. There's a saying that I love. It says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. It's always about perception. It's always about how you see things. So we have to really take that into an account. Would you like to elaborate on that, Lady J?
Absolutely.
you know
Yes, I mean, absolutely. Like I said before, it's like people are always asking, well, why me, or why did that happen to me? And that was my sentiment at first. Like, why am I having to go through A, B, C, D when so and so over here only gets to go through A and B, or this person only has to go through C? Why do I have to go through 25 different things, like, in order
why not
to
you?
fulfill
Why
what it is
not
that you have?
you?
Exactly. Exactly. Then that had to change to why not me. And then,
Why
and for
not
me, and
you?
I tell people all the time, like, even when I'm talking about business, I cannot leave God out. I am nothing, would be nothing, could do nothing without him. Period. There is nothing on this earth that I have been able to do, no place that I've been able to go, things that I've been able to accomplish without him. Period.
Mhm.
And so I had to really understand what that meant when being in relationship with him when he chose me. So I tell everybody, I'm Moses. I'm the one that I don't get a choice in whether or not I'm going to have to, I don't get a choice in whether or not I do it or not.
Right.
I am the chosen one to do what it is He called me to do. So I have to, whether I say no, I can either go kicking and screaming, or I can go the easy way.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you so much, Lady J, for joining us. I thoroughly enjoy talking to you. I always enjoy talking to you because we share so many of the same views. I want you guys to remember to subscribe, to share, to like this podcast. Can you just put the website up? It's www.georgiawoodbine.com. We're so put on Lady J's website as well. We're so glad that you was able to join us. And remember, like I always say, we all have the freedom of choice to be mindfully aware to create the experiences that we desire, more of that and less of the things that we don't want. So once you keep that in mind, nothing will stand in your way. Until next time, take care, guys.